If you are someone that believes that a liberal democracy is part of what makes the United States great, then you're probably feeling a bit disturbed by what just went down in the election. You might be feeling a little bit disappointed in your fellow Americans because many of them just sat by and said, I don't care. I don't care that Donald Trump is a 34-time convicted felon. I don't care that he's been found liable of sexual abuse and or rape. I don't care that maybe he was best friends with somebody like Jeffrey Epstein. I don't care that he was the sitting president that botched a pandemic response that killed more than 1 million Americans. And I just don't care that Donald Trump is such a sore loser that when he lost in 2020, he gathered up a mob of his supporters to violently attack the Capitol as a means to stop the certification of a free and fair election. Many people just said, I don't care. And I know that stings a little bit. But I also know that in this moment, we cannot give up. Because if we roll over, they will trample right across our backs. In fact, they are counting on it. They are counting on us to grow despondent. They are counting on us to become apathetic. They want us to just not care anymore. And we cannot give that to them. And I think that is the exact message Kamala Harris was trying to send when she proved to the American people yet again that she is an eminently better human than Donald Trump, that she respects the office of the presidency, and she came out and issued a concession speech to Donald Trump. So let's go ahead and listen to her opening remarks, and then we will discuss.
So let me say, my heart is full today. My heart is full today, full of gratitude for the trust you have placed in me, full of love for our country, and full of resolve. The outcome of this election is not what we wanted, not what we fought for, not what we voted for, but hear me when I say, the light of America's promise will always burn bright.
Now, I know it is never fun to lose. It does not feel great. Maybe some of you feel like you've been punched in the gut. But I also know that if we give up, then they just win. So if you believe that your vision for America is the one that should come to fruition, it's people like me and you that have to come together and build a movement that is fighting back against what appears to be a fascist takeover of the United States. And even though we lost to somebody like Donald Trump, and it might feel bad for Kamala Harris to come out and to concede, that it is still important that we respect the tenets of our democracy. It's still important that we respect the norms of our institutions, because those are the things that we're fighting for. And we have to lead by example. People like Kamala Harris have to lead by example. They need to come out. They need to do the peaceful transfer of power, because it is such an important part of our democracy. So let's go ahead and listen to her speak on that really quick.
Now, I know folks are feeling and experiencing a range of emotions right now. I get it. But we must accept the results of this election. Earlier today, I spoke with President-elect Trump and congratulated him on his victory. I also told him that we will help him and his team with their transition, and that we will engage in a peaceful transfer of power. A fundamental principle of American democracy is that when we lose an election, we accept the results. That principle, as much as any other, distinguishes democracy from monarchy or tyranny. And anyone who seeks the public trust must honor it. At the same time, in our nation, we owe loyalty not to a president or a party, but to the Constitution of the United States.
This is what real leadership looks like. We know that Donald Trump has never conceded for his loss in 2020. We know that he doesn't respect our institutions or our democracy. He doesn't respect our Constitution. He doesn't respect our rule of law, our norms. But that doesn't mean that we stoop to his level and fight in his game. Even though this is so asymmetrical, we can't just light the democracy on fire to try to save it. It's important that we still follow these norms. We still respect the tenets of our democracy, or else we are no better than they are. So even if it feels gross to come out and concede to somebody even as vile as Donald Trump, I do think it is important. And I think the more important message to take away from all of this is that even though we lost this particular battle, that doesn't mean we've lost the war, and we will continue to fight for our ideals.
While I concede this election, I do not concede the fight that fueled this campaign. The fight for freedom, for opportunity, for fairness, and the dignity of all people. A fight for the ideals at the heart of our nation, the ideals that reflect America at our best. That is a fight I will never give up.
She's exactly right. We know that we have the better ideas. We know that when polled, America is in alignment with our ideas. We just need to do a better job of convincing Americans that our vision for the future is a better one. We need to show them that something like the MAGA movement is not what is best for all Americans. It is what is best for the few, the people on top, people like Elon Musk or Donald Trump. They are not fighting for your everyday American. And it is so unfortunate that so many Americans have been bamboozled to believe that is the case. And I honestly believe that America will one day regret their decision to re-elect Donald Trump. But until that day comes, we just have to continue the fight. And one of the parts of the speech that really stood out to me was not only do we continue the fight by voting and organizing and whatnot, but we can also do it in quieter ways. This really stuck out to me. Let's listen.
And we will continue to wage this fight in the voting booth, in the courts, and in the public square. And we will also wage it in quieter ways, in how we live our lives, by treating one another with kindness and respect, by looking in the face of a stranger and seeing a neighbor, by always using our strength to lift people up, to fight for the dignity that all people deserve. The fight for our freedom will take hard work. But like I always say, we like hard work. Hard work is good work. Hard work can be joyful work. And the fight for our country is always worth it. It is always worth it.
So this really stood out to me. And the part about waging this fight in quieter ways really stood out to me. Because what have we seen out of the MAGA movement? It is people like Donald Trump and his acolytes putting others down. It's about not treating everybody with dignity or respect. It's about people cutting you off in traffic because they don't like your bumper sticker. Or it's people being yelled at in the grocery store because they overheard a conversation. It's literally Americans tearing other Americans apart. That is what the MAGA movement has become. And it is disgusting. And it is not our vision for this country. And Kamala Harris is exactly right that we should be trying to lift others up instead of push them down, which is all we see out of the MAGA movement. Unless you're on unless you're on the inner circle, then they seek to ostracize you. They seek to put you down, belittle you. It is part of the movement's ethos. So we have to stand up and be better and fight back against that nonsense. Because it is gross. It is un-American. We should not be seeking to tear each other apart. We should be seeking to make a better future for all Americans. And even though we lost this election, it's super important to remember that it is not the time to quit. And in fact, it is only time to fight harder.
And so to everyone who is watching, do not despair. This is not a time to throw up our hands. This is a time to roll up our sleeves. This is a time to organize, to mobilize, and to stay engaged for the sake of freedom and justice and the future that we all know we can build together.
And she is exactly right. It is time to fight just a little harder. I know it sucks to lose. This election feels like a punch in the face. Maybe it feels like you've been let down by your fellow Americans. But we still have a vibrant vision for the future of this country, and we can come together. We can build a movement to fight back against whatever MAGA is. And we can build the future that we envision for this country. So I think it's important to not grow despondent, to not detach, to not grow apathetic, because that is exactly what a fascist movement wants you to do. They want you to be scared to speak out. They would rather you just be quiet. So let's not give that to them. Let's not let this fascist takeover of the United States be successful. Let's come together and build the mechanisms that will fight back effectively against this movement. And in the long run, we will win. We have better ideas. But I'll leave it there. If you guys got anything out of this video, please remember to smash that like button and subscribe. Maybe share with a friend or two. I'd very much appreciate that. I am trying to reach 1,000 subscribers before the end of the year, and I would very much appreciate your support. If you want to see why I think the MAGA movement is probably a fascist cult, go ahead and watch that video on the screen now. Otherwise, I'll see you guys on the next one.